What is happening, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ty from Ty Drives, and sitting in front of us is the 2024 Audi Q8 e-tron. Now, this one happens to be in the Premium Plus trim level and finished in a very nice glacier white with pearl beige interior. So very nice color combination and nicely equipped 2024 e-tron, Q8 e-tron that is for us to look at. So just a quick overview of what we're going to do in this video. So we're going to take a look at all of the features the vehicle has to offer. We're going to start off on the front, check out all of the exterior features, and then I'll work our way under the hood, kind of show you a little bit of storage area, and we'll also talk about kind of like the powertrain options on this Q8. We'll then pop the trunk, see how much storage space we have, and then we'll check out the interior, starting with the rear seats, and finally following up with the front seats. But you're going to want to make sure to stay tuned to the end of the video, because we're going to take this Q8 e-tron for a test drive, and we'll see what it's like to drive. So basically, the Q8 e-tron is an evolution of the existing e-tron model, the original e-tron SUV that came out back in 2018 or 2019. So this is kind of just a more of a naming and a kind of update for that original e-tron SUV. But getting straight into it with the features, we have full LED headlamps, and for the Premium Plus, we actually get a pretty cool animation too when we lock and unlock the vehicle. But for the headlamps, we have high and low beams that are powered by LEDs, as well as daytime running lights and turn signals, again, also powered by LEDs. And a nice new fascia up front. Take a look at the gray painted accents and a kind of lighter gray color for the grille. Some real openings, and the new Audi rings debut on this car for North America. So we have a pretty cool black background with the white rings there. You can see we have the front-facing camera down below that. And we also have headlamp washers right below the headlamps, parking sensors up front, and a myriad of the front sensors for the adaptive cruise control, things like that, are behind the grille. Nice sloping hood with the creases that roll down into the grille, and we have some pretty nice looking 20-inch machined face wheels with some gray painted pockets. So pretty good looking wheels here. Also new wheels for the new Q8 e-tron, and our tires measure 255/50 up front. Now, the charging is probably the biggest update of the Q8 e-tron. So we can charge from 10 to 80% with a level 3 charger in only 30 minutes. So that is a big deal. We have a little bit of a bigger battery pack, and the total driving distance is increased to around 310 miles. So that is a pretty awesome increase. Nice amounts of satin silver going around the windows and on the roof rails. And if you just simply tap on the little charging logo there, it will very nicely and elegantly drop down, and then when you press the button, it will pick itself back up. As for the side mirrors, we have cameras underneath both of them, as well as LED turn signal indicators, and our blind spot warnings are on the inside of the mirror right about here. We of course have smart key entry for all 4 door handles, so you just tap right here to lock and put your hand behind handle to unlock. And a pretty cool little styling element right here is on the B pillars. We have the Audi Q8 e-tron Quattro emblem. That's pretty neat. Taking a look at the window sticker, we have an $81,780 for our total sticker price. And taking a look back here, we have the shark fin antenna. You can also see the panoramic sunroof up there as well, and a nice spoiler to finish everything off. And we still have that nice light bar back here. So continuing with the LED theme out front, we have full LEDs out back. So the brake lights, tail lights, and turn signals are all LED. And of course, that light bar stretches all the way across. And of course, we are featuring that new Audi emblem again. Very simplistic back here with emblems too. We really only have the little Q8 emblem and the e-tron insignia on the lower fascia. And we also have parking sensors that round off the rear bumper and also your trunk release right in the middle, and the reversing camera offset a little bit to the right. So what do we think of the exterior styling on the Q8 e-tron? I personally think it's a nice, handsome update for the e-tron model, and we finally have a kind of name for it, so it kind of fits into the Audi lineup a little bit better now. So under the hood, I think is a pretty good spot to start talking about the powertrain. Now, as far as that goes, we have two electric motors, one on the front, one on the rear axle, thus making it a quattro all-wheel drive vehicle. And those dual electric motors pack 402 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque. That's all hooked up to a 114 kilowatt-hour battery pack and a single-speed kind of continuous transmission. So under here, not a whole lot to look at. We've obviously have some battery connections going on over here, some high voltage things which we're not going to touch, but we also do have a little bit of storage, which is where you can keep your charging and everything. Now underneath here is where you'll find your tire inflation kit too, which not a lot of people know. So that is good to point out. And we also have some LED illumination under here too for when it's dark out. Alrighty, so under the trunk of the e-tron, we find a pretty good amount of space back here. I should say the Q8 e-tron. I should really get in the habit of saying that now. But obviously a very good size SUV, this Q8 e-tron, and so the cargo room reflects that. Now, if that's even not enough for you, you even have these handles so you can fold down the rear seats in a 60-40 split. If you'd like, from back here, but you also do have the option of folding the central portion down, so truthfully it can be a 40-20-40 split, and I will show you how to do that once we get inside. But we do have a nice cargo shade in this vehicle, as well as some LED lighting, and to either side, just like the handles, we have grocery bag hangers. Also to either side, we have some storage extensions with some nets that protect whatever you put in there so they don't slide around. And also on this side, you have a 12-volt power outlet, so that's pretty nice. There is the other side. Now, of course, we have lots of plastic wrapping back here, which is the carpeted, as well as the all-weather floor mats and the all-weather trunk mat. But underneath, we have nice carpeting and tie-downs. And if you lift up this cargo floor, we could see the space saver spare tire and a little bit of a removable storage area. When you're done in the trunk, we have two options. So we have one to close the trunk and lock the vehicle, or just one to simply close the trunk. Okay, so in the rear cabin, we are greeted by that beautiful pearl beige interior color. So very nice, soft to the touch materials all the way up here, and then we have the leather color and some contrasted gray stitching. Lots of kind of bright work back here too. You can see with the ambient lighting strip, that's all surrounded in bright work, as well as your door handles and your Bang & Olufsen speaker grille. Pretty good amount of storage in the rear door as well. And a pretty big amount of space to get in and out of the vehicle. Very nice attention to detail on the seats with the perforations and stitching on the inside. And we have some nice little headrests up there too. And we can also fold down the rear seats with this handle right here, so that will fold them down flat. Now, if we take a look over here, just underneath the center headrest, there is a upper button, and that will fold down our ski hatch, so that will kind of enable your 40-20-40 split. And finally, one more thing we can fold down is the armrest. That'll contain some cup holders as well as a storage area. Okay, so now that we are seated inside of the Q8 e-tron, I can give you a pretty good representation of how much room we have back here. So I'm about 5'10", and I'd say a solid 4 to 5 inches of legroom for somebody my size. And just keep in mind, I did adjust the front seat to a normal driving position for myself. But I did want to turn the vehicle's power on, because take a look at the rear climate control. Very nice almost a cross between a touchscreen and physical buttons here for the rear climate. So you can kind of go up and down with your temperatures, your fan speed. We also have heated seats back here. And you can also adjust where the air comes out. That is either on the B pillars, behind the center console, or on the floor. So that's pretty cool. Down here we have a 12-volt power outlet and 2 USB-C chargers. And take a look at that. The floor is relatively flat, so fitting a third person in the center will be pretty easy. We have grab handles and as well as LED lighting. And a nice large panoramic roof that continues into the back seats. Okay, so here we are at the main event, the front cabin. So materials pretty much mirror the rear doors, so same high quality, you know, soft to the touch materials up here and even down here, and your leather material on the door panel. As far as buttons and switches go, they are pretty traditional, but we do have a couple of things worth pointing out. Over here we have the mirror adjustments with the power folding mirrors and the heated function as well. All 4 windows are one touch up and down, and we also have individual child locks for both of the rear doors. We have 2-person memory seats for the driver's side and a little trunk popper in the storage area. And of course, 1 more, or I should say 2 more Bang & Olufsen speakers on the driver's door. Taking a look at the left of the dash, we can see some very nice open pore wood trim. We also have our headlights controls and our front all-weather lighting as well. Taking a dip down below, we have a couple of things. One on the steering column, you can see the power tilt and telescoping steering wheel control. And then we also have a very large storage pocket on the left of the dash, designed to fit your entire owner's manual sleeve. So take a look at that. Just kind of a frame of reference in how big that pocket is. Down below we have the hood release and of course our pedals. Very nice quality to the carpets too. Now the front seats are fully powered. You know, you have the up-down for the front and rear of the seat, and of course sliding back and forth for the backrest of the seat, as well as 4-way lumbar. And also the headrests do come in and out. Okay, so here's the key fob for the Q8 e-tron, pretty traditional Audi key. We have the lock, unlock, and then a trunk release on the back, as well as a panic alarm with the little e-tron logo on the back. And then you also have the silver button to slide the physical key out in case you need it. But this of course has push button ignition, so you just press the button right down here. And that will put all of your seats back into your last memory position, as well as adjust the steering wheel. So very nice kind of futuristic design for the steering wheel in here. And as relative to the original e-tron, it is very, very similar inside. There aren't a whole lot of changes in here for the 24 Q8 e-tron update. But that's okay, because it's already a pretty futuristic looking interior. Kind of subdued, but futuristic is what I could call it. On the left of the steering wheel, we have all of the buttons to adjust the virtual cockpit, and off to the right, we have our Bluetooth phone controls, as well as our voice commands, up and down for the audio, and back and forth for your presets, and kind of like a programmable button right there. Over here we have a couple of stalks, the lower for the adaptive cruise control and the upper for obviously your turn signals, as well as your automatic high beams, and there's a button at the end to turn on and off your lane keeping assist. And to the other side we have our front and rear wiper controls. So we'll give you a quick overview of the virtual cockpit. So we have the completely digital gauges right up here, and we can use all of these buttons to configure that screen. So let's take a look. At any time we can press the view button, and what we see in the center will expand, and our 2 main gauges, main being the power gauge over here and the speedometer, will shrink. Now we can go back and forth between a couple of different menus. So we have a media menu over here, a phone screen, and your full screen navigation, which is hooked up with the Google Maps right now. So that is a very cool feature. Moving back over to the vehicle info screen, we can scroll down to see our vehicle's range, real-time consumption, short and long-term memory, and a driver's assistance screen, as well as the traffic signs. So pretty cool and configurable screen. Down below, we will always have the sort of speed limit to the road that you're on right now, and obviously your odometer. It's a pretty simplistic and very clean looking screen up there. Nice soft to the touch dash up here with some stitching that goes all the way across. It's a pretty nice looking air vents, and we have our MMI screen here. Now the home screen kind of displays a pretty good combination of the media, telephone, and your navigation. They are configurable, so you can change what you see there. But if we swipe over, we can go into our radio screen. You can see that we have all of our Sirius XM activated, and once you press on a specific station, you can see all of the information will pop up, and you can change the source right over here. Going back, we have the media, phone, and navigation. So again, Google Maps are activated, and you can see that very nice. And then we can input your destination right over here. We have the phone apps, which has to do with the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, which is all wireless on this vehicle. We click into the vehicle screen. There's a couple of different things that we can go through, such as your charging status, which is pretty cool. We can go into our drive select, which we have a couple of different drives. We have a pretty good selection of driving modes, and you can also adjust the air suspension here too. So we have off-road, all-road, efficiency, comfort, auto, dynamic, and individual. And in individual, you can adjust a few different things, such as your drive feel, suspension, and steering feel. We also have some vehicle data. Shows us some range potential, so probably if we shut off the cooled seats and the air conditioning, we could add a couple of miles of range there. We also have some things to do with our seats, air conditioning, lighting, and visibility. So this is how you adjust the brightness of the interior lighting. We have a parking screen, and we can also turn on and off your driver's assistance. They kind of give you a couple of different presets, a maximum and a basic, or you can choose your individual ones. You can toggle them on and off. Going back to home, we have our vehicle settings, sound settings, general settings, all that good stuff in there. And we can also swipe over to set up different users. So you have two different people driving this particular vehicle. You can set up users just like you set up the memory seats, and all of your settings will be saved. And we can also swipe from the top to get your quick audio adjustments. And then also Wi-Fi information, settings, and your different users. So that is pretty cool. Taking a look at the lower screen, that is pretty much reserved just for your climate control. So we could take a look at that quick. We have two individual climate controls up front. It is a total of 4 climate zones in this vehicle, but we have the two frontmost climate controls here, and we can adjust the temperatures, zones, and the fan speed individual from the passenger. So very, very customizable climate control. We have our heated and cooled seats for up front for the driver and the passenger. And then we have all of our AC controls, and we can get some extra controls up here, such as your heated steering wheel and your rear climate control, which you can adjust from up front. Taking a look down below the screen, we have our quick drive mode select. We can turn on and off your traction control and your hazards. And then we also have your front and rear defrosters. Now, a couple of things I forgot to mention. Up top here, we have our garage door opener. So that top button right here with the little house, you press that, that'll kind of open up your garage once you have it connected. And we have the little charge button right there, which will kind of bring up your charging screen quickly. Right down below this section of buttons, we have another finished in the silver color. So we have the start-stop button. We can also pull up the parking cameras real quick. A couple of different views. We have the front wide angle, a regular front, the top-down view, just like we have over here constantly. And then we have the rear, wide angle rear, the front and rear wheels. But we do have a party trick to this. We also have a 3D view, so take a look at that. That is pretty cool. We can see 360 degrees view around the vehicle in a 3D view, so that's pretty cool. And once you press that button, that does activate the parking sensors. This button over here, opposite to the parking camera, adjusts your driver's assistance. So as we saw going through the settings, that is just a quick button to pull that up. And then we have a volume knob over here, which also doubles as a kind of skipper for the presets. Pretty interesting gear selector here. So we have this kind of pad which you can rest your arm on, and it's a very natural position, so we can kind of go all the way up for reverse, and that will bring up obviously your reversing camera and a top-down view, and all the way down for drive. And then we have down once more into a sport mode, and the P right where my thumb is for park. So very kind of natural shift knob there, which is pretty cool. We also have the electronic parking brake, and down here a couple of cup holders that are hidden, and you can kind of reveal them by going like that. We have a 12-volt power outlet and your wireless charging pad, so you can kind of stick your phone in there sideways and it will charge right up for you. Pretty small center console, but definitely enough room to maybe put a set of sunglasses in there. On the passenger side, we have a pretty good view at some open pore wood trim and a pretty nice design with the glove box, which is lockable. We have a frameless mirror, which is auto dimming with a compass, and then we also have some tap LED illumination and a couple of more lighting controls, as well as some servicing and SOS buttons as well, and a couple of buttons over here too. One individual button for your sunshade, and then the other one is to tilt and slide the glass portion of the sunroof. So once it slides all the way back, you get a pretty good view to the sky, and it definitely lightens up the interior. One more thing we cannot forget is up here with the sun visor. So we have a card holder and a mirror with illumination, as well as grab handles for all 4 passengers of this vehicle. That pretty much does it for all the features on the new Q8 e-tron. Let's get it out on the road and see how it drives. Okay, so let's see what it's like to drive the 2024 Audi Q8 e-tron. Now, the e-tron was already a very pleasurable car to drive. You know, it's very, very quiet and very refined. The ride is very nice. And I really don't have any complaints on the way that this e-tron rode. So I would imagine that this slight refresh to the e-tron, now the Q8 e-tron, is just going to be that slight step better. So we'll do a quick turning circle test here for those of you viewers who are in the city quite often. Take a look at that. Did the turning circle test very nicely. Now we're going to start off the drive in auto mode, so that will kind of adapt to the throttle inputs, steering inputs, and things of that nature. And then we'll switch it over to dynamic mode a little bit later on in the test drive, where we can get a full throttle acceleration and see what it's like to get up to speed. But for now, we're going to get it onto a straight road here and see what it's like at speeds of 45 to 50 miles an hour. You know, kind of get a good grip on the ride quality and things like of that nature, and quietness, things like that. And the Q8 e-tron definitely does not disappoint. You know, we just take off in effortless silence thanks to the electric motors. You know, just a slight whine of the electric motors, and this thing rides unbelievably. You really don't feel virtually any imperfections in the road just going over this road. I mean, granted, it is a kind of a smooth road, but I mean, it is just... This ride is superior. It really, really is. Now we do have the lane keeping assist active, as you can see with the green markings over here if you have the visual up, and down here if you don't, so that will constantly be there to tell you that it's working. We're going to bounce off the lanes here, see if it'll steer us back in, and yes it does. So you can see the lane marking turns red, and it will bounce us back into our lane. You know, very non-intrusive system. It will just kind of nudge you and say, hey, you know, time to get back into your lane. So at this point, I'm sure you saw me click it over into dynamic mode, and this is where we're going to do our acceleration test. So we have a nice quiet road here. We'll get it up to 25 and see how fast we can get it to 60. So very quick sprint to 60. Now this isn't the most powerful electric vehicle out there. You know, everybody seems to be very focused on, you know, oh, this car is electric and it's got 700, 800 horsepower. But let's not forget, you know, 400 horsepower is still a really good amount of power. You know, that is 402 horsepower, 490 pound-feet of torque we're working with. So even though it's not the most powerful EV out there, it is still very, very powerful. And had zero trouble getting us up to 60 very quickly. So let's keep it into dynamic mode for the moment being, where the steering weightens up ever so slightly, and the air suspension also does seem to firm up a little bit too. The throttle response is definitely increased, and now that we're in dynamic mode, we also have access to the boost acceleration mode. So you can see on the dash, past the 100% is a boost mode, and that is how you access that through putting it into the sport driving mode, either bumping the shifter back while you're in drive or putting it into dynamic mode. Now this vehicle does have a level of regenerative driving. I wouldn't classify it as a one pedal drive whatsoever, but it does have a nice level of regenerative braking used with the paddle shifters on the steering wheel. So if we press the minus, we get more regenerative braking. There's kind of two levels to it, and the plus will kind of lessen the regenerative braking. So two different levels, very nice integration there for the regen braking. So we do have a nice corner here, which we could take it around. You know, obviously this isn't going to be a handling car, but electric cars do seem to have a nice center of gravity, having all the weight of the battery down low. So let's see what we can do here. Not too bad, not too bad. You know, it is still an SUV at the end of the day, but not too bad handling characteristics there. And we'll switch it into comfort mode, where we do have a pretty nasty section of road here. Lots of patchwork and potholes and things of that nature. So we'll definitely get a good... Unbelievable how smoothly this rides. You know, just the combination of the quietness, lack of combustion engine, as well as the smooth ride and virtually no wind noise. Just makes for a very pleasurable and calm driving experience for this e-tron. Now for a car like this, for me, would be a perfect car to be electric. You know, it's already quiet as it is, it rides very nice, and the electric motors just add to the overall experience. You know, if it's something like a sports car, of course I would more rather have a combustion engine, because that is more suited to the nature of the combustion engine. So in this application, an electric engine, or that in this case, two electric motors works very nicely. I can't get over how nicely this rides with the air suspension. I should add that. Just really just riding on a cloud with this vehicle. far surpasses any of my expectations on ride. And just coming to that light there, if you press on the brake pedal at all, of course the regen braking will engage, and of course you can also engage it with the paddles. But that application of regen braking, you know, after a bit I took my foot off the brake, the regen braking took over, and in that particular instance it took me to a perfect stop, to the stop sign, without keeping my foot on the brake. So in certain times it will bring you to a full stop. But that pretty much does it for the features and the drive of the all-new, or I shouldn't say all-new, I should say updated 2024 Audi Q8 e-tron. Thank you for watching, and I hope you stick with us here at Ty Drives for more videos just like this one.